The United States Surgeon General recently warned that a lack of social connection can increase the risk of premature death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. We are constantly bombarded with terrifying statistics about the great American loneliness epidemic. But you know exactly what it feels like to sit in a crowded room, surrounded by loud voices, and feel a profound, exhausting emptiness. You know the visceral wave of pure relief that washes over your body when a Friday night plan gets canceled. Society might have labeled you as antisocial or distant, but there is a massive, fundamental difference between being lonely and choosing to be alone. One is a vulnerability. The other is a highly evolved cognitive superpower. Think back to the last time you forced yourself to attend a major social gathering because you felt obligated. You spent the hours leading up to it draining your energy just preparing the mask you had to wear. You engaged in the small talk, smiled at the right cues, and absorbed the chaotic frequencies of everyone around you. By the time you finally closed your front door, you were physically hollowed out. Your brain felt wrapped in a thick fog, and your body craved silence the way a starving person craves a meal. Psychologists call this specific exhaustion the introvert hangover. But I honestly believe we are doing a massive disservice by framing this as a mere personality quirk. In my analysis of modern behavioral neuroscience, what you are experiencing is not a flaw. It is a highly calibrated biological self-preservation mechanism. To understand this, we have to look at the architecture of your nervous system, specifically your baseline sensitivity to dopamine. Extroverted individuals generally possess a lower sensitivity to dopamine. This means they require a massive amount of external stimulation, like loud music, dense crowds, and rapid-fire conversations, just to feel a baseline level of satisfaction. They feed off the kinetic energy of the room. But if you deeply prefer solitude, your neurological wiring is fundamentally different. You possess a uniquely high sensitivity to dopamine. You do not need a stadium concert or a chaotic networking event to feel stimulated. A meticulously written book, a quiet walk through a dense forest, or a single, deeply profound conversation is more than enough to activate your reward centers. When you are forced into high-stimulation environments for prolonged periods, your brain literally floods with neurochemicals. You hit a critical state of sensory overstimulation. Think of your nervous system as a high-performance, precision-engineered sports car. You do not drive a Formula One car off-road into the mud. It is built for absolute precision and hyperfocus. Because you notice the micro-expressions others miss and absorb the subtle emotional shifts others ignore, your cognitive processor runs at maximum capacity. The biological cost of that incredible sensitivity is that you must retreat to recharge your battery much more frequently. I have found that the people who most desperately crave isolation are often the ones carrying the heaviest emotional loads for everyone else. You are not running away from humanity when you retreat to your room after a long day. You are actively regulating your biology. You are engaging in effective self-regulation, allowing your dopamine levels to stabilize and your nervous system to exit a state of chronic hyperarousal. The theologian Paul Tillich perfectly captured this nuance. He noted that language created the word loneliness to express the pain of being alone, but it created the word solitude to express the glory of being alone. Loneliness triggers the exact same pain centers in the brain as a physical injury. Solitude, however, is a constructive, deliberate state of deep engagement with yourself. Clinical psychology is now recognizing a phenomenon known as aloneliness. This is the distinct, irritable, burning frustration you feel when you are deprived of your necessary isolation. When you feel overwhelmed and burnt out, you are not craving people. You are starving for solitude. And there is a profound reason why the most elite performers in the world fiercely protect this state. In a culture obsessed with the relentless hustle, true visionaries do not grind 24/7. They retreat. Bill Gates famously pioneered the concept of think weeks, isolating himself in a remote cabin twice a year, completely severed from family and employees. He understood what researchers at the University of Rochester have now proven empirically. Their studies revealed that intentional solitude causes a psychological state called deactivation. You intentionally lower your autonomic arousal levels, stepping away from the high-intensity stress of the social hierarchy. This deactivation clears your cognitive RAM, allowing your mind to process deeply complex problems that are mathematically impossible to solve in a noisy open-plan office. I completely reject the modern narrative that success requires relentless, superficial networking. In my research, I have seen time and time again that the most profound breakthroughs happen in absolute silence. When you seek out a quiet space, you are unknowingly replicating the exact habits of history's most elite mind. You are engaging in deep work, protecting your cognitive resources so that when you do finally speak, your words carry undeniable weight. But we must acknowledge the critical nuance here. There is a real danger if you use isolation as a shield to hide from unhealed trauma. Avoidance is rooted in fear. True solitude is rooted in autonomy, and it expands your inner universe. This brings us to the ultimate psychological trait you have developed: emotional independence. The vast majority of society relies entirely on external validation, outsourcing their self-worth to the crowd. They desperately need digital likes and constant praise to prove they exist. If the crowd leaves, their entire identity collapses. But you have cultivated a fierce, unshakable internal validation. You are deeply comfortable in your own skin. By separating your identity from your social status, you have achieved a rare level of emotional intelligence. You have built such a rich, complex inner world that you are essentially bulletproof. When life stumbles, you feel the grief, but it does not destroy you because you know exactly how to stand firmly on your own 2 feet. If you are the type of person who needs to withdraw to recharge, who constructs their most brilliant thoughts in the dead of night, and who finds profound peace in the silence of an empty room, you must immediately stop apologizing for it. We live in a chaotic, deafening world that constantly demands your attention to profit from your distraction. In this environment, choosing to be alone is a radical, defiant act of self-preservation. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You are simply operating on a vastly superior, data-driven operating system that values profound depth over superficial breadth. Nikola Tesla once said that the secret of invention is to be alone, for that is when ideas are born. Embrace your biological nature. Fiercely protect your energy. Never let anyone convince you that your chosen solitude is a symptom of loneliness. It is your ultimate sanctuary. If you found value in this psychological deep dive, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Here at Deep Psyche Decode, we dismantle the mind to help you master yourself. Now, I want to hear your truth. Do you feel intensely recharged or completely drained after a major social event? Drop a comment below and tell me exactly how you manage your social battery. I will see you in the next video.